Happy to be here today. Have the opportunity to speak to you. I'm past District Governor Michael Hayes of Rotary District 6200, which is South Louisiana, and I'm the incoming chair of the Rotary Action Group for Peace. You might ask, what is the Rotary Action Group for Peace? It is a broad-based organization with a wide variety of interests. We have some members who are interested in ending war. We have members who are interested in helping those who come out of war and disasters work their way through negative peace. And we have a great focus joining Rotary in the area of positive peace, and we hope to build positive peace. What I'm asking for the members of our organization to do in the upcoming years to be intentional about peace. And by intentional, I mean to put peace into every daily activity, from the time you wake up in the morning and do those things to take care of yourself physically, do those things to take care of yourself mentally, to make yourself the best person that you can be. And if you need help doing that, to seek out that help, to start being more intentional in terms of how we address other people. You know, one example I like to give, and I don't know if Facebook is a thing in your part of the world, but you know, people are being very divisive with one another, and as Rotarians, our responsibility is to focus on the relationship, not focus on the issue. So be intentional about focusing on the relationship with those who are different from you. So there's a great opportunity for people to become intentional about peace in all things that they do. Another good example is if my club is working on a youth project, how can we build respect for one another and respect for diversity and respect for those who are different than us into every piece of that program? You know, we're in a world where there's no one that is exactly like us, so all of our differences are just a matter of degree. So within the Rotary Action Group for Peace, we're looking for that diversity of approaches, that diversity of programs. You know, your program would be most welcome in the Rotary Action Group for Peace, as would you know, those individuals who are seeking to end nuclear weapons, for example. So we're a big tent, and we hope to grow the size of our tent and to grow the understanding across that tent, so that everyone can share in everyone else's issues. So, and with that, I'll pause and ask Alison if she wants to add anything to what I just said, or if anyone has any questions.
I think the only thing I would add is that we are probably in a better position than we've ever been, in as much as everyone is recognizing that every area of focus has an element of peace in it. There's no way you can put a water well unless you can get in. The polio vaccination, that required mediation at high level in order for people to do that. So as you break that down, every Rotarian is actually already doing peace. They just don't realize it. And so what we'd like to do is to equip them to perhaps do more if they choose to do more, but to understand some of the elements of peace.
Yes, if you look at the Rotary Foundation and their areas of focus in terms of community building, you look at the first one and you put them in the sequence of community building. The first one would be disease prevention, okay? Because that is a survival issue. So you work through disease prevention as a survival issue, and clean water as a survival issue, and sanitation as a survival issue. And then you take the next step to community building, which would be maternal health and childhood health, and then move into education, and then into economic development, and then into the environment, and then into peace. It's a stepwise peace building exercise when you look at how the Rotary Foundation is approaching things overall. And so that stepwise building peace approach is 102 years old within our organization. Building peace was put into our Constitution and into our bylaws 102 years ago. So there's no better time than now for each of us as Rotarians to focus on it, whether it's at the individual level, whether it's at the family level, whether it's at the friends and acquaintances level, community level, or international level. We have to approach it building each step of the foundation from the ground up. And so sorry if I got back on the soapbox, but anyway, Alison.
I think I would add to that as well, that post-COVID, we started having a greater presence on Zoom. That assists greatly in terms of peace work, because it means that we can bring together individuals, but not individuals, Rotarians, who would not normally perhaps be sitting together or could not travel to one another's country for fear of the stamp in their passport, because there are just so many things that affect individuals. But we can get them together on a Zoom, and we can actually concentrate on the essentials and leave the non-essentials. And that's the lovely thing about Rotary as well. And the essential is, all right, well, we're going to do peace this way in Wales. How will you do it in Syria? What's happening in Iraq? And to actually encourage and equip them to do their piece of peace where they're at.
Questions?
A comment, perhaps, Michael. Both of you have emphasized the power of relationships. And if we look back at the history of Rotary, it started with Paul Harris seeking deeper relationships with his colleagues in Chicago. So it's very much of a piece, isn't it? And if we as individuals, currently members of the RAG for Family Safety, can cry out the world of peace and a relationship with all your friends in peace, then we can maybe find a pace where we can keep doing similar work and do it better than we could have done just in our own RAG.
I believe, Norman, you've told your members a little of some of the programs that we're actively involved in at the moment, but maybe I'll just remind them for the benefit of the recording that whom else might listen. So we have a program on non-violent communication, which is just teaching people about active listening, how to express their feelings in a non-confrontational way, in a non-judgmental way. And of course, that's the entry point for any discussion in peace, which you'll all know. We have a program on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now that's based on Rotary directives. It's not sort of pie in the sky. It's not so controversial. And I would add that the programs that we're doing are not rocket science. We're not rocket scientists. We're beginning at grassroots level, which is where so much is needed. So that's the DEI. We have a regular Turkey hour on a Thursday, which is, of the last 11 weeks, has been building empathy and resilience, actually with victims of the earthquake who are coming on the call. And it's so lovely to see the progress in that meeting, because we've moved away from the individuals being paralyzed, sleepless nights, and we can start seeing progress there. And now it's turned to conversations about projects and so on. And now we're going to place the emphasis on well-being to move them on, because we didn't want them stuck in a rut. We don't want them to be victims forever.
Can I interrupt you, Alison?
Please.
That is the most remarkable program, because we're trying to capture it so that it can be translatable, because it will be a great program on the ground in Ukraine after this war is over. It's a great program in any recovering community where people are shocked, maybe have post-traumatic stress disorders. But it really has taken individuals from the feeling of helplessness, disempowerment, and a lack of ability to move to actually being able to start putting their lives back together. And it's just such a remarkable program that it needs to be expanded, and it needs to also be available should someone else want to do something similar someplace else. So we're working to put that sort of in a can on a shelf so that if somebody needs it, that's a service we can render to them. So sorry to
Yes,
interrupt.
so
that.
all of these, we want them to be on the shelf and available. Some of them you'll be able to just take and run with yourselves being everyone. Others will be delivered by their authors in order to just sort of have that support mechanism. Another one that we've launched that seems to have huge potential is Peace Language Easing Difficult Conversations. And the pilot was with young people in Wales, with young people in Cape Town, South Africa. Now we have inquiries from more schools in Wales, Ukraine, South Africa, Caribbean, USA. The plan is the first one gave them 90 minutes of getting tools, etc., to talk. But later they will connect one with another, groups, and they will choose what topics they want to talk about, but they will use the tools that they have. So it might be controversial topics. So why have you got guns in your problem? Why have you got this problem? But they will be able to discuss it. That we have high hopes for. And then as we started, I put together domestic abuse, a 90-minute program on that, and we're waiting for that to come back with the videos embedded. I've worked closely with the Duluth organization who's given me permission to use their videos. And again, I stress it's not to the depths that you yourselves work in trauma, etc. Much of what we do is the entry point to awareness and beginning and growing things, because we've come probably from the position that many Rotarians have thought that peace is some kind of passing cloud. It's all about the peace centers and the peace fellows. And we've been working hard to say, well, no, actually, you are peacemakers, you are peace builders, and these are the skills that we can give you. So that's just a brief overview. Now we're wanting to develop a program around global security. That is in terms of we have so many people moving around the world now, refugees and so on, that as an element, as you know, in domestic abuse, but for their safety and to ensure that and well-being. And then we also want to look at mental health and well-being, because that's something that came out of that youth discussion that we had. And these things we've noticed as well, we seem to be in the right place at the right time, because this is what Gordon, our incoming RI president, is advocating for this coming year. And we recognize, I sit here almost embarrassed because I'm sitting among professionals who are able to do these things, but we're making a start, and we can add layer upon layer with help. That's it, Michael, from me. You're muted.
Yes, I always have my best thoughts when I'm muted. So yeah, we'd love for your organization to join us to help put more things on the shelf that will be made available to our members to use, and hopefully that's something that can come to pass.